Hi, it's Zebra975, and if you're wondering what way around you need to do the weapons, then watch this bit before we get into the video proper. Now, I was going to bring you the whole solution to the Light of Lathander quest and show you the bit beneath as well, but for some reason that bit didn't record. So, oops, sorry about that. But basically, you just get the statues to face opposite directions, and if the one won't budge, you can use grease to grease the base of it. It works really well. But it's an athletics test, so it's not difficult for the strength girls. Yeah, even with Jack of all trades, one of the weaknesses of my bard build is strength 8, which means athletics is way out of the question. Acrobatics is okay, but yeah, it's still not the greatest. And yeah, so when it comes to athletic checks, I leave it to the girls. And once you've got this Dawnmaster crest, it's really easy to get the Light of Lathander. But yeah, you just got to find the door downstairs, which is the place with the two statues, one facing one way, they're facing each other. You just have to turn them facing opposite directions. Have a wiggle around. Now, the creche itself, I decided to not mess around too much with the creche. I didn't go through a lot of the storyline stuff. Just go hit the science lab, get past the horrible bit where if I mess up, Lizelle's going to lose all her mental stats and become a vegetable near enough. Now, I wasn't going to bother messing around too much with the side quests at the creche. I can get the egg, and getting the egg's more important than persuading the guy to let me have the egg. The bit with the child and the training room I couldn't be bothered with. So this was pretty much just wham bam, go where I want, do what I want, get through this as quickly as possible. The Zakis test is really difficult. You have to hit some very high numbers, so make sure you get your buffs and your boosts in as soon as possible. Effectively, it's 2 difficulty 21 checks, which, luckily being the bard character I am, actually is not too bad. When I built the Nipsy character for Wednesday night D&D, in real life D&D with books and dice, etc., I made her into a skilled junkie character because we were only a party of 3 characters with an NPC, so I wanted to cover as many bases as possible to have as much skill points as possible to give us a very good chance. And you can see with Jack of all trades, spells like guidance and bear's endurance, you can really up your checks really easily. And you'll see here the persuasion skill just gets silly. It's before I even had advantage, it was more than capable of passing that check. But you don't want to take any chances because, like I say, Lizelle will lose her mental stats. And yeah, you can, I think, restore them somehow, but I can't even remember how to. I think you have to remove curse, maybe, I can't remember. Or it might be restoration, but you can restore them, but I think it's a bit of a pain. But yeah, ideally you just don't want to lose her mental stats in the first place. But obviously now we've busted in here and done all this, we're now gonna have to fight our way through the creche, or fight our way through her and her goons, which is a reasonably tough fight. And yeah, then on to another tough fight after that. Githyanki are the sort of enemies you don't really want to fight that often. Fortunately for me, I don't run into Githyanki that often when we play in real life D&D, because my DM doesn't like them. They're a freak alien race. He's not keen on them or tieflings. None of us ever played as a Githyanki or a tiefling yet in our Wednesday night games. And currently we're playing a different system at the moment. We're playing a Viking campaign where I'm a dwarf brawler. But yeah, I always like to use the hammer to break into the door rather than having the person picking the lock still up front, because yeah, these Githyanki don't mess around. They hit really hard. They do a nasty variety of damage, a lot of psychic damage, which is always a pain in the butt. And ultimately I can't counterspell everything, and get Karlak in there, start hitting things is probably the best way to go. I must admit I did make a mistake, which kind of, well, it wasn't really a mistake, it was just I didn't notice something and I should have paid more attention. I I elected to use my synergy with water to electrocute the Githyanki, which I thought was not a bad plan. Unfortunately for me, they turned the tables pretty well because she turned the water to ice, which was problematic for me. And so towards the end of this fight, I have a couple of people full prone, which was completely unnecessary. They didn't need to. But you know, sometimes mistakes happen, you miss things. And one of the big things about these sort of games is, you know, noticing when you're stood in fire or on a negative effect. It's surprising how often you miss things like that. But yeah, I also forgot about the fact that she can also counterspell, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, because I was hoping to get that off to, you know, synergize with the giving everyone Blade Ward and extra hit points. But yeah, still, electrify a lot of water, kind of handy. The electrifying the enemy works really well for, you know, messing up what they can do, and also it helps with what I've got, because I've got a Polearm Master who can attack from a decent distance. I've got a lot of decent ranged options with the other girls and the spells, so you know, and Karlach's immune to being electrocuted, so she can just get in there and smack people down while they'll struggle in the electric. And as you can see, I'm able to put out a decent amount of different damage types with Lizelle at ranged, so she doesn't always need to be in the fight the specialization attacks that she does, they, as well as having effects, they also add an extra d8 into the damage pool, which is incredibly useful. You know, making someone drop weapons and stuff is amazing. Such a useful skill, and the fact you do a bit of extra damage with it, like there, all the little different damage types, great damage. Also made drop weapon and 2 shots dead. So that is what Lizelle is really good at, but unfortunately she's already burnt through her dice. I probably should have taken a short rest before this fight, but you know, people are rushing into the electrical pool. That's working well for me, and yeah, ultimately this fight got a little bit chaotic, and I didn't notice that the water got frozen at one point. But you know, the sword shriek helps me out because it helps debuff everything in that area, and also means I'm doing extra damage. So with Karlach having extra electric and thunder damage available, that does just get brutal. I mean, the little annoying thing, well, Karlach's probably the best person to be nose to nose with it, because she can take a kick in, and yeah, and I should have noticed when the water got frozen. You know, it shouldn't have been hard to spot, but fair play. The water got frozen, which caused me a little bit of difficulties, and I forgot this dude was still alive at one point, which was dumb of me. But what I should have done is use shock and grasp on him, because it means then I can move away in combat, which I remembered like just after I wasted an action. And obviously running into the electric water myself didn't help myself out, but because now he hasn't got any reactions left, I can, you know, light him up with Shadow Heart so he doesn't get so many advantages. Unfortunately the whole person is a pain, but now we get Lizelle into the room, I'm not too worried. That was, though, unfortunately, the precise attack, which is where she would have got a bit of extra damage on it, which would have made all the difference because it would have killed him. But she was blinded, and I didn't notice that she did Ray of Frost. I could have counterspelled it, which would have been useful, but I didn't think about it, and I didn't realise she would be targeting the water, thus freezing the water up. But this fight is effectively over at this point. This is just hunting down the last few people. You know, Karlach takes an absolute smacking from the thing, and here I'm like, oh, I'll just walk over and clobber her. and then I fall prone because then I realise that I'm stood on an ice rink and not electrified water like I expected to be. So I've just made a really dumb move. But you know, ultimately, I just check I am in the range of this, and that's a big heal. And yeah, and unfortunately I thought I was in the range of it, but it turned out I wasn't, so that's a pain in the butt. Luckily Sentinel attacks work really well, and now we get rid of the guy who was causing me some issues, and now the water's back to being water and electrified. But you know, it's all, like I say, it's all over this point by the showering, because the amount of damage coming this poor lady's way in a moment is going to really mess her up. She does get another ray of frost off, which freezes everything, so I'm getting more people falling in water, falling on ice. But you know, it doesn't matter. She's going to get blinded another time, and even the Raven's getting the extra thunder damage. And then I remember I'm in water, so instead I just shoot her for the kill. And yeah, and then we're into the next fight already. So I go straight from there, straight to kicking off the next fight to get underground as quick as possible. This one goes completely off script because of everyone getting scared really easily, which was annoying. And also, I kind of hoped that would have done a little bit more damage than it did. I decided to go for using the smites to do extra damage, but it didn't quite work out for me. So I probably should have raged, but that's the way it goes sometimes. With Githyanki, they're all handily in heavy armor, so I probably again should have used Shock and Grasp, but I decided to go with Spike Growth because it's really, really effective against things that got a move. And yeah, I figured it would help out, but unfortunately I should have at that point moved away, because Dazed actually stops them getting reactions, so you can move away, which I probably should have done. But it was that everyone dropped their weapon and got scared, so that really messed me up in this fight. And I can't remember why, but like Nipsy, I'm sure, loses concentration on the Spike Growth for a moment. That was also like really annoying. That was it. It was a weak hit, and I've got advantage on saving throws against losing concentration, so I really should have passed that. But yeah, now I'm in trouble. Now I've got people going all over the place in fear and scared of everything, which doesn't help. But we'll go for an upcasted Cause Wounds, because if it hits, it would have been night for her. Of course it didn't, because Shadow Heart. But we are at least able to get some Blade Wars out there and some healing, so everyone's not going to die instantly running around like lunatics. I mean, obviously the massive lack of actions is going to really hurt me in this fight, and yeah, it could have gone a lot worse. But I don't know if this was overconfidence or just not planning ahead, or you know, you got to say sometimes the bad guys do something that like messes you up, and that was something that really did mess me up. You know, the amount of extra damage I took, the loss of actions, the amount that they did, the fact that I dropped all my weapons, which means I'm going to waste even more actions when I actually do get back to my feet. Luckily a couple of my characters could get away with not actually picking up their weapons and switching to the other weapons they're using, though Shadowheart does do decent damage when she does hit with Cause Wounds. I don't know why she's got the helmet that does Hunter's Mark. It should really be on Lizelle. I think I messed that one up. But yeah, as you can see, still fearful, and then the fearfuls run out. So now we're at least can get going. I'm not going to stop Shock and Grasp. It's not that powerful a spell, but you can see that a lot of my characters have suffered a lot of damage, especially Karlach and Shadowheart. So. And now Nipsy, so it's only Lizelle really that's fighting fit. Oh, and the Raven, but Lizelle just took another big hit. So time to help her get some electric, damage up. do some extra damage. Though she still isn't the best archer in the world, and I can't afford to waste all her dice on precise shots. That's for sure. But if I kill something, she's still buffed to hell, so you know, I should have probably focused on one target and brought it down, but I was trying to trip stuff and be clever about it. But you know, second win's the second win, so she's doing okay. As to Shadowheart, you know, try and finish this lady off, and then hopefully that means I can get some healing done, because that will really help out the situation. And this is when I realised, well, I really could do with taking another rest. As to Zell, she's going to have to switch hammers, and I was thinking, do I rage? Or do I take a potion of healing? Well, I'll take a potion of healing and hope. Nipsy, well, the good thing about Nipsy is, I mean, she's dropped Polarity, which is a huge loss, but ultimately she's still got all her spells and stuff, so I'm just going to start spell slinging really, rather than worrying about it too much. But again, potions of healing needed to be taken. Everyone's really struggling. And the great thing about Shock and Grasp is, like I say, it robs them of their reaction, so you can move out of combat with things, which is handy. You know. And then I can also save some damage with cutting words, but it didn't work out that well that time. And luckily with Karlach actually managed to avoid some decent damage coming in, and that helped out. But the Psychic Wrens are getting annoying. Shadowheart's running out low on health and healing, and such an annoying critical miss. But I mean, that's a big hit, so that was quite handy. I should use more special arrows. I have a real problem with this game. I'm terrible at using the consumables. I don't very often use potions, and when I do, I try and milk them too much and get too many combats in a day. It's part of the reason why I'm having so many combats on this day, was because I was desperately trying to get the most out of the Bloodlust potion that one person's took, and the Strength potion that Karlach took. I feel getting the most out of the Strength potion that Karlach took. And as to, I don't know why I'm not using Magic Missile and stuff. I should really just be burning my spells, but I'm trying to save some stuff for the final fight, because obviously the next fight is going to be the boss fight. You know, so that's the main concern. So at this point I'm just trying to get through this fight, conserving as many resources as possible for the main fight, which is the next one. Going into the room, and that's where all the treasure is and all the loot is. This fight is pretty much over. At this point I'm just, looking through the resources I got left and being like, well, I don't really want to use that, I don't really want to use that. I should just be Sacred Inflaming, to be honest with her. Though she has got the really good crossbow that does Bane on things, which I was also thinking would be useful, but obviously it would have been useful if she hit with it, but she does let me down more often than not. And I should just be throwing my magical axes at this point, but you know, she's so brutal with the thrown weapons that it doesn't really matter. But door shut, we're safe to loot that room in safety and then move on to the next, and then we find ourselves in Vlakiv's company. I did decide to kneel because I'm dating Lizelle and I don't want to, you know, any negative responses from her, so I behave myself. Normally I just go with the wave, be a little disrespectful. Me and Woody once went, "Oh, what happens if you're really disrespectful?" Dead, end of campaign. Don't disrespect the goddess, even if she is a bit of a nightmarish goddess at that. So Vacuous wishes we go inside the cube to go and chat to the spirit guardian. Well, supposedly to kill her, but I'm not going to kill her because she's protecting me, even though I don't trust her as far as I could throw her. And obviously I have already played through this, so spoilers if you don't know. But I never trusted her from the first time I played this, my first ever playthrough. Because I have real trust issues when it comes to D&D. Everyone being nice to you is not to be trusted. That's, you know, the way to go. I try and keep Lizelle on side, but like, you know, Lizelle is awkward at this point in the storyline. She hasn't really accepted her fate, but you know, I'm going to keep her on side as much as possible, and I've got really good persuasion, so you know, talking Lizelle into bed is not that difficult. It's Lizelle after all. These women in this game, they're all like charisma 8, and they're all so up themselves. No, it's only joking. Actually, some of the most fun female characters I've encountered. I love Lizelle's character. She's hilarious, and I think because her story arc is so unique, she's just so much fun. So I did rest before this big fight, recoup some, you know, vital stuff back, and you know, I had hope the initiative order would be kinder to me, but it really wasn't, which was awkward. So I kind of felt screwed by the initiative in this one, and yeah, it kind of just where the Raven falls is really useless for blinding things and stuff like that, and yeah, I didn't get a chance to put down. Normally what I would try and do is put a hypnotic pattern down early to render as many of the opponents out of action for as long as possible. That's usually the way I go with the Bard, is use a big control spell like hypnotic pattern to keep these guys, usually the two guys up top, from shooting downwards. But I got screwed on initiative order. I gotta say, I don't know what my guys are running for initiative, but it was really bad. If you don't know, initiative on standard Baldur's Gate is actually a D4, which is why alertness is such a vital thing. At this point, I then realised for some reason Lizelle was not holding her weapon. I don't know why, which this caused me no end of issues, but she does have all her points back, so that was good. So if I was going to do anything with her, I had to action surge on the first turn to have my normal number of attacks, which wasn't great. But luckily she's bloodlusted, so I kind of made amends for that by doing what she did do, which was awesome. And yeah, I gotta say, Lizelle has done me proud in these fights, you know, and really smacked the crap out of mostly everyone that she's come across. And with the bloodlust potion, she's definitely at damage output is great. As to Nipsy, well, because of the annoying sequence of events, you know, just timing wise, it would have been so much better if I could have got Shriek up earlier and hypnotic pattern to take some of them out of the fight. There's so many good things I could have done, which would have helped out. We're putting reverberation on him, stuff like that. I probably, with Shadowheart, should have gone with my first instinct and just done the mass healing word to give everyone Blade Ward and Bless. However, because I've only got one shot at it, I thought, no, I'll save it for emergencies. I'm not going to use up that spell slot because I've only got 1/3 level spell at this point. And I'm actually going to try and stack some debuffs on him, because, you know, if I do Radiant, etc., he's inside a Shriek, so he's getting thunder damage on top. So yeah, try and debuff him with some orbs, and keep the crew pretty much close together, able to help each other. But, you know, have Shadowheart just slightly out of the way for now. It's just horrible at the moment with being surrounded by horrible little things. But the good thing, I've got a thrower, and I've got bombs and everything. But I decided to not throw the bombs, and in the end I decided that, like, the attack opportunities weren't worth it. So I thought about like smacking the swords down and then trying to get out of there, which kind of worked, and I still have my throw left, but 30% is just not good enough. So I just keep smacking stuff. Karlach does best, is smack stuff. The Raven's kind of stuck, so I'm just going to disengage him, send him round out the way for now. But yeah, there's an awful lot going on in this fight, and psychically rending, the amount of damage they do on psychic rend can be quite surprising. Luckily, being a gnome, I've got advantage on all wisdom, charisma and intelligence saving throws, which is one of the big things gnomes get. Gnomes are very good on saving throws. It's one of the advantages of the race, and not OP or broken at all. But more stuff surrounding me to take out. So unfortunately, some of my damage types don't affect these type of things, but you know, that's the way it goes. And I still need to keep debuffing as much as possible, keeping Shriek as close as possible to the bad guys. But also I want to free up my other guys, so I've now removed the attacks of opportunity from that. I'll dump some healing into Karlach because she really desperately needs it. And then I want to bring Shadowheart back in to do her big heal, which is the reason you make her a life cleric, because you get that, which is massively, hugely healing. And yeah, all in all, as you can see, Karlach's gone from being really hurt to being very nearly back on top. And bombs away. A couple of runic bombs and setting people on fire never hurt anyone. Well, metaphorically speaking. And that still leaves me the chance to throw Dragon's Grasp, which if it hits, it does extra damage to targets on fire. So always worth doing. Of course, it always misses if they're on fire, because that's just the way it goes. But it's well worth it. It's a good little combo you get really early on with the Ring of Fling and Fire Grasp, where you can set things on fire and do absolute tons of damage with stuff right from Act 1 from the first vendor, which is great. My poor Raven's got 2 swords on it now. But yeah, the Mind Still link is up. Really need to sort him out quick. The guy's trying to trip people up, not good. But all in all, I haven't actually done this fight for a while, and I haven't done it since the new patch. So since patch 7, which added a lot of things. So I was quite surprised with the amount of stuff going on, the amount of swords that were appearing and things like that. I don't think it was like that last time I fought this fight, but I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. Zella's on one today. She's absolutely murking everyone, and it really helps when she's able to do these dice and extra and trip things and disarm things and stuff like that. But I shouldn't have done this, because I should have. Yeah, it was awkward because I was outside of Shriek range, I think, at this point. I didn't realise that he was just outside of Shriek until it didn't come up with the extra thunder damage, and I was like, oh, that's a waste. That's my own fault. Move her up, put him into the Shriek range to debuff him. When Shadowheart has her go, get some orbs on him, keep him debuffed until I can get around to Karlach's turn, where she's going to absolutely smack crap out of him and probably kill him. Because that is the key plan. Most of my party is all set up around the fact that Karlach deals unbelievable damage and everyone else debuffs stuff to help her out. Like the Raven blinds things, I do Nipsy does reverberation and buff spells. Shadowheart buffs and heals, and Lizelle knocks stuff down and puts out secondary damage, clearing out minions and stuff. So Karlach can focus on the main guy and just smack him as hard as she can. Lizelle has so many attacks. She's really good at like debuffing lots of things, knocking them down, disarming them, things like that. But one of the big things is Shadowheart's healing. The fact that she does give Blade Ward and Bless is huge as well, because now a blessed Karlach hits way more reliably than an unblessed one. I should be using up some more of her soul coins, because that adds damage as well, and there's plenty of things that she should be doing, but she does hit pretty damn hard. And and in this case she nearly finished it there. The poor Raven's surrounded by swords, hoping somebody does finish him off very soon, and ultimately I didn't have to wait long. Because of his debuffs, he's not doing an awful lot, and I don't know what he's up to running around like that. He's just going to get himself completely killed as soon as I get go with someone else. As this guy, he decided to flee into the corner, and that's it really, because Lizelle's going to kill him and then run over and kill him, and that's that. And then we're back to camp to rest up for the next day. There's 3 really arduous fights done, all really tough ones. Now it's just clearing out the creche. Oh, and I'll leave it there and I'll say enjoy this conversation with the Owlbear Cub, because this is the best stuff.
Blood hurts. Look, cut.
That's the
Good, no hurt. Teeth, claws, bigger. Strong, fight, win. Too big, strong.
I love him so.